Alright, welcome back to WMMA Scene Now with your host Chuck Stevenson, and welcome to episode number 61 of the WMMA Scene Report, weekly show where we go over everything going on within the world of the women's divisions of mixed martial arts. News, results, previewing upcoming fights, a little bit of discussion topics, you name it, we talk about it. Without further, wasting any more time, let's get into this past weekend's results. So Saturday, UFC Fight Night, Florida, Harris versus Overeem. First up in the women's flyweight division, Courtney Casey defeated Mara Romero Barella via armbar submission at 3 minutes and 36 seconds of the first round. Casey climbed to 9-7. Barella fell to 12-8. Nice little fight here. They came out going for the action right away. Barella got the takedown and then got stuck in the one arm bar, managed to get out of it, and then pretty much put herself right back into the same position to get arm barred again. And that's when Casey latched on the straight arm bar. Very nice win for Courtney Casey. Nice flyweight debut for her as well. She moved up into the rankings at number 15 already. Then in the co-main event, in the strawweight division, Claudia Gadelha defeated Angela Hill via split decision. Gadelha climbed to 18-4. Hill fell to 12-8. I did a pretty extensive breakdown on this fight in a different video of its own. If you want to go check that out, please do. Just a tough break for Angela Hill, honestly. First viewing, I thought she won. Went back and watched it again after reading some people's opinions that I respect, and I can definitely see why they would have given it to Gadelha. Yeah, it's tough luck for Angela Hill. Would have been a huge win for her. Anyway, that's it for this past weekend's results. So let's get into the news. Bunch of fight announcements this week, and they are all out of the UFC. So let's get down to it. Okay, first up, according to the UFC, Las Vegas and the Apex Center is a go for next Saturday's event on May 30th. Next up, a UFC event to be decided on 13 June. They announced 3 ladies fights. First up, flyweight bout between Maria Agapova 8-1 and Melissa Gatto 6-0-2. I believe this is the UFC debut for both of these ladies. Agapova was on the Contender Series, lost, went and picked up a couple wins at Invicta real quick, and now she got picked up for the UFC. Gatto, I believe this is her debut as well. I think she is one of the Brazilian fighters that got popped by USADA before they even got to make her debut. She's coming in 6-0-2. Should be an interesting fight. This was originally supposed to go down in Kazakhstan. Obviously, UFC's not going to Kazakhstan for quite a while. At bantamweight, Julie Avila 7-1 taking on Carol Hossa 12-3. This is the 4th time that this fight has been made. It is almost becoming Habib versus Ferguson like, just without all the excitement. And then finally at flyweight, Ariana Lipski 12-5 versus Luana Carolina 6-1. Sloppy fight here. Should be sloppy but entertaining fight. Next up, UFC has an event on 20th June. 3 fights announced for this one. First up at flyweight, Roxanne Modafferi 24-16 taking on Lauren Murphy 12-4. Should be a good one. Both of these two were on the same season of The Ultimate Fighter together, vying for the flyweight title. Both are very scrappy. Should be a fun fight. At bantamweight, Raquel Pennington coming in 10-8, taking on Marion Renault 9-5-1. Both of these fighters need a win here. Renault hasn't fought. I can't remember the last time she fought, but Pennington is on, I believe, 2 losses right now. Both of them need a win. And then finally, Courtney Casey, 9-7, taking on Gillian Anderson, 7-4 in flyweight. That's another good one. I think that should make for a fun ground battle in that one between Casey and Robertson. A bantamweight fight has been announced for 27th June. UFC event between Aspen Ladd, 9-1, taking on Sarah McMahon, 12-5. I think that's going to be a good one between two wrestlers. Hopefully it doesn't become a sloppy kickboxing fight. Per reports, there is going to be a flyweight bout on July 11th. This is supposed to be the first fight announced for Fight Island. It's going to be Amanda Hebus, 9-1, taking on Paige Van Zant, 8-4. So this was originally a strawweight fight. Now it's going to be a flyweight fight. Honestly, I think this fight's a waste of time for Amanda Hebus. There's very little upside to fighting PVZ at this point. No one takes her fighting career seriously, and even if you beat her, it's not like you're suddenly going to become popular because of it. Other fighters haven't suddenly become popular for beating Paige Van Zant. Just seems a waste of time to me. And then finally, for next Saturday, May 30th, a flyweight bout, Katlyn Chookagian versus Antonina Shevchenko. Should be an interesting one. Chookagian is just coming off a fight against Shevchenko's sister Valentina for the flyweight title. Lost in, I believe, the second round. And this is a big chance for Antonina to move up in the rankings. I don't know. It's like, okay, she's going to become the ultimate gatekeeper, right? One thing I will say, though, Antonina should understand Chookagian inside and out. Not just because Valentina just got done fighting her, but because when those two prepare for a fight, when Valentina prepares for a fight, Antonina usually takes on the sparring role of whoever she's facing and adapts that striking style. So when Valentina was preparing to face Chookagian, Antonina was striking as Chookagian to help Valentina prepare. So Antonina should know Chookagian inside and out, should know just about everything she's going to throw, when she's going to throw. Should make for a very interesting fight. Anyway, that is the news for this week. Not a whole lot, but also compared to the last several weeks, that's quite a lot. Moves us into the rankings updates. So first up, for One Championship, no new event, so no ranking changes. UFC, there's a couple ranking changes. At strawweight, Alexa Grasso moves up one spot from 14 to 13, moving Herrig down from 13 down to 14. At flyweight, Courtney Casey is now ranked at number 15. She replaces Polyana Botelho, who is now unranked. At bantamweight, Sijara Eubanks moves up one spot from 15 to 14, replacing Nico Montano, who has moved down from 14 to number 15. All right, so that's it for the rankings update. Let's move into segment I call Welcome to the Scene. Welcome Marvin Ixhotop, Spinorama29, and Raul Barrosa. Welcome to the newest name subscribers to the channel. All right, since there's no upcoming events for this weekend, let's keep this show short. Let's move into the discussion topic. Tonight I want to talk about limited rule sets, as in like rules that have big limiting factors in MMA and how they affect how people fight. There's some discussion about whether or not these rule sets can be considered true MMA or not. This topic was inspired by ARC coming up on May 23rd in Korea. ARC is adopting what they call the 3-3-3 rule set. So the fights are going to be 3 rounds. That's the first 3. Each round is going to be 3 minutes each. That's the second 3. And there is a ground limit of 30 seconds if there is no action. So that's the third 3. Apparently, from what I understood from going to Road FC's website, Road FC is putting on a show with Africa TV. They listed out some of the rules. From what I could understand using Google Translate, they're not going to allow a closed guard. So even though they're going to have technically fast stand-ups after 30 seconds, they don't want a fighter crossing their legs over on bottom and closing their guard just to get stood up. Like, they want to encourage forward movement in the fight. So they want the fighter on bottom to try to either A, get up on their own, or B, try to go for a submission, a sweep, reversal, anything to go for forward movement. And then they want the fighter on top to try to advance position and go for submissions as well. So 30 seconds if none of that goes on. So very limited groundwork allowed, basically. Also, they're going to have bonuses for any fighter that finishes their opponent in the first 30 seconds. So they're going for fast fights. Short fights, fast action. They're really going for like a younger generation of fans that are used to watching things on TikTok or Snapchat, stuff like that. So they're trying to go for, fans with shorter attention spans, trying to encourage fights that would appeal to that. So one topic that I've seen come up across several mediums over the last, it happens every once in a while, is that, are these like limited rules style events still what most would consider MMA, mixed martial arts? Well, you have to take into account that nearly all rules are limiting in some way, okay? Some promotions ban elbows. Pride banned elbows. They said the cuts would stop fights. Road FC in Korea currently bans elbows standing or on the ground because they don't want, again, cuts and opening up bloody cuts. The unified rules. No knees to the head of a grounded opponent. No kicks, no soccer kicks, no stomps to the head, stuff like that. Really, if you think about it, all rules are limiting in some way, shape, or form for whatever reason, whether it's for health and safety reasons, whether it's for appearance-wise, whatever. Nearly all rule sets are limiting in some way or another, okay? And there is a long precedent for limited rules, particularly in women's mixed martial arts, okay? Japanese all-female promoter, the OG all-female mixed martial arts promotion, Smack Girl. I've talked about them before. They had a ground limit of 30 seconds, and they banned strikes to the head of a grounded opponent. So you couldn't stay on the ground for too long, and you couldn't strike to the head of your ground opponent. So you really had to go for submissions or try to advance your position. I mean, that was really all there was to it in Smack Girl. Now, they did have what they would call special rules fights, mostly when Megumi Fujii fought, and that would allow full ground and pound with no time limit. But the vast majority of their fights were under the rules of 30 seconds on the ground, no strikes to the head of a ground opponent. To this day, many women's fights in Asia are only limited to 2 rounds. Deep Jewels does it for most of their fights. Road FC does it. Several promotions do that. Women's fights, only 2 rounds. Even if it's 5-minute round, only 2 rounds. Not a big fan of it myself. I think let the ladies have the full 3 rounds, but that's just how they do it. And then in the U.S., when Elite XC was operating and Gina Carano fought for them, ladies only had 3-minute rounds. So even in the U.S., there have been limits placed on the lady fighters. And then there was an event called Seiza, which was like a female version of Ganryujima. Ganryujima was a neat little promotion. They had fights where the fighters would come out, they would wear board shorts, they would wear like a short-sleeved gi top. They had MMA gloves, but they fought on a raised platform that was surrounded by, dry ice fog. A ring out, 3 ring outs in a round would equal a win for the fighter that caused the ring outs. They also had, in Ganyujima, it was only 15 seconds on the ground. Seiza allowed 30 seconds. It was mostly for striking with a little bit of groundwork mixed in. So neither of those are around anymore, unfortunately. I think it's been 2 or 3 years since Ganyujima or Seiza had an event. Seiza, unfortunately, only had, I believe, 4. So there's a long history and precedent for limited rule sets within the sport, particularly for the women's divisions. Now, personally, in my opinion, as long as it contains a mixture of martial arts, it allows fighting in a stand-up and on the ground. Personally, I consider that mixed martial arts. You're literally mixing martial arts styles together. So to me, that's MMA. Of course, having said that, I can understand why some sites, some fans and outlets don't consider that. For example, if you go to Tapology, you can look up the Sazov matches, but they're all listed as special rules fights. They don't affect a fighter's MMA record. I can understand that if you don't want to count that as a full MMA fight. To me, however, it's still a form of mixed martial arts. It's just under the rule set that the promoter wanted to operate under. Anyway, that's really all I have for this. Just wanted to talk about this limited rule set. I think the 3-3-3 system that ARC is going to use is going to be very interesting. I think it should make for some fast, action-packed fighting, particularly the promise of a bonus in the first 30-second finish. That should make for some sloppiness, honestly. But should be fun, at least. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on that in the comments down below. One thing I want to mention, don't forget, I do have a Twitter for WMMA Scene Now. It's @NOW WMMA, @NOW-WMMA. I post just about all the latest fight announcements. I either tweet them myself or retweet them. I post all the videos there. I share all the videos from the channel there. Want to follow, keep up with everything, that's a good way to do it. I also do a lot of live tweeting during fight night events. So feel free to follow me over there. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on just about anything I just went over in the comments down below. Of course, likes are always appreciated. And hey, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to WMMA Scene Now, the most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.